Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Family Medicine Education Consortium's virtual showcase. This evening, the Meritus Family Medicine Residency will be sharing tips, tricks, and pearls on how to ace your virtual interview. Now, the Meritus Family Medicine Residency has actually offered this session for a number of years. We've refined it. We're happy to share a panelist review and discussion on things that we've learned both from the resident, the applicant, and the faculty standpoint. But before I begin, I would like to offer some background and welcome formally from the Family Medicine Education Consortium. I'd also ask, please, if you're joining to mute, just so we can make sure that our panelists can come through loud and clear. And for myself, I'm Aaron George. I'm a board member and family physician, both in service of the Family Medicine Education Consortium. I also serve as the Associate Dean for Clinical Education at the proposed Meritus School of Osteopathic Medicine. And I'm a proud and very, very honored member of the Family Medicine Education Consortium. We look at ourselves and our group as a catalyst, a convener, and an incubator of all things family medicine, from academics to innovation. We help to foster and grow medical students in their journey and pathway, develop residents, encourage and support young faculty members, and connect all family physicians across the Northeast region. Now, we actually exist predominantly in about 14 states, as well as the Washington, D.C. And among those, we have over 60 medical school departments and over 220 family medicine residency programs. And so what that means is that when we come together, we bring voices from so many different areas of family medicine, from academics, and from across a very diverse region and diverse number of individuals. And throughout the year, we have events like tonight's, this virtual opportunity to connect and share information on specific topics. But we certainly want to welcome you to our annual meeting. Now, this year, we'll be meeting in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Marriott on September 19th through the 21st. If you're joining us as a medical student, please check out the FMEC website, because we actually have scholarships that help support your opportunity to attend. We'll have over 300 medical students and hundreds of residents and faculty that help to bolster a very robust residency fair. So regardless of whether you're joining as a medical student or a resident, look for the opportunity to connect with colleagues, to collaborate, and maybe meet your future residency program. So with that, I do want to engage our team, the Meritus Family Medicine Residency. We have a whole cadre of residents, young and senior faculty here to offer some insight, not only for the virtual interview. We know that in recent years, there has been a mix between virtual as well as hybrid and in-person sessions. So while our topic tonight is titled Acing the Virtual Interview, we hope that there will be insight and experience that will help you with any interview that you encounter this year or in the future. So with that, I want to turn over to the most important individuals that we have on our team, the Meritus Family Medicine residents, to share a little bit about themselves.
So, hi everyone, I'm Viraj, one of the third-year residents at Meritus Family Medicine Residency. I did my medical school at VCOM in Blacksburg, right near Virginia Tech. And in terms of career goals, as I'm going to be graduating next year, I'm going to be going into outpatient practice.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paige. I'm one of the second-year residents here at Meritus. I attended Albany Medical College in Albany, New York. And in terms of career goals, I'm hoping to pursue a career in academic medicine after residency.
Hey guys, my name is Andrew Ditto. I'm one of the faculty physicians here at Meritus, not senior faculty because I'm not old. I do mostly outpatient, but some inpatient medicine as well. It's nice to see you all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Sani. I am one of the junior faculty also, even though I have a little white beard here. I do primary care, general primary care, and I do sports medicine.
Hey everyone, I am Dipti Mestri. I am Associate Program Director here at Meritus. I graduated medical school in 2010 and then from residency in 2014. I've been here with Meritus for the last 10 years. And we're all really excited to talk to you guys about how to ace residency interview. So if we can go to the next slide. So our first tip is to take a deep breath. So we all get nervous before interviews, and that is completely normal. So just taking a moment to pause and to take a deep breath and remind yourself that you've made it this far, it can help ease your nerves. And as you take that moment for yourself, you can say some positive affirmations to yourselves like you see on the slide. You can say, I am focused and engaged. Today is my day. I'm ready for this interview. I'm a perfect candidate for this residency. Next slide. All right. And so tip number 2 is about planning ahead. So on your interview day, both the residency program and you are interviewing each other to figure out if you guys are going to be a good fit. So before the day that you interview, research that program and read their website and learn as much as you can about them. Figure out what they're looking for in a candidate, in a resident, and then show them on your day of the interview why they should want you to be at their program. Also, use the information that you learned from the website to show how interested you are in that. And just so you know, for those of us that are interviewing, we can tell if you've read our website or not. So you don't want to be caught off guard asking a question that we know we've already put up on the site. And then lastly, know what's in your application, because we do read them thoroughly and you want to be ready for any question that we may ask. So even if it's that obscure research project that you did that you just kind of did to get onto your resume, know what it's all about, because we might just ask you about that.
So tip 3, setting up the virtual environment. And this prepares you not just for a virtual environment, but also even if you're going in person. Be professional. Prepare for your interview. So first thing is, if you're doing a virtual interview, check the link the day before. Make sure it works. Check your camera angles the day before. Check the lighting the day before. Make sure all of it works and you're not trying to do this during the interview. The next thing you want to do after you've done all of that is make sure you don't have any distractions. So if you have distractions, or if you cannot help it, make sure you acknowledge the distractions and it's not mentioned before you say something about it during the interview. The next thing you want to do is avoid foods, water. Foods or liquid, you can have a glass of water, especially if you have to talk for a long time, and that should probably be okay. No chips, no chewing gum, no gum in your mouth during an interview, in person or virtual, because that's also some distraction going on. Engage during the interview, show interest. Now, with everything I just said, just keep in mind, anyone could still make mistakes doing this. You know, you could say, oh my God, I do all this stuff, I prepare for it. I've done interviews before, but the best of us still make mistakes. As a few videos I'm going to show you right now. Next. So this is a morning show. This is Superman's son right here. And you guys, some of you know him already. He is a professional journalist. And even with that, and a big camera crew, and a team he works with, camera angle was still off in this picture, as you could see here. And he's just his boxers on with his suit on. So prepare, prepare, prepare. Next one, this, even at the international level, as you could see, some of you watched this in the past, but we'll play it right now. It was live a few years ago.
Scandals happen all the time. The question is, how do democracies respond to those scandals?
And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
That's all right, carry on.
My apologies.
So, as you could tell, even at this level, this stuff could still happen. Distractions could happen even when we don't prepare for it. Personally, I am actually here at the office doing this because I have similar situation at home. I have kids. I didn't want to create a distraction, so we changed the environment to make sure you could focus and engage. All right, next.
All right, so tip 4, so how to make the most of your interview day. So the topics we'll go over 7 topics today. So first is how to treat the interview, the introduction, being present and engaged, how to stand out, how to make connections, take notes, and ask questions. So topic number 1 being how to treat the interview. Dress professionally, dress to impress. What Dr. Sani was saying, and always have a good setup, clean background, test your video and audio the night before, and then, just de-stress before starting the interview. In terms of topic 2, so for introduction, always have a strong introduction, start on a high note. There's 2 kind of settings for introduction. So when you're doing the meet and greets, it's talking about, more of the highlights of your life, your name, where you're from, undergrad, fun fact, or, something significant that happened in your life that got you into medicine. But, if an interviewer during interview asks you, tell me about yourself, kind of phrase that in terms of the residency's profile. So what does the residency value, their experiences, skill sets, and kind of tailor it to that for those responses. And the next thing in terms of being engaged and present. So have good eye contact. Don't browse on your phone. We see a lot of this, so definitely don't do that. And then look for ways to be interactive, even if it's really awkward. It's kind of a quiet situation, just be interactive. And then nod your head intermittently as well. The next thing is standing out. So this is where you want to show positive energy, find a good balance. So, be positive, have good responses, but don't be over dominant. Let other people speak, and then always be honest in your responses. And then keep responses concise. Don't kind of keep saying the same thing over and over again. Just say it once and say it loud. And then during, breakout, same thing with a meet and greet, allow others to participate as well. That's very important. The next thing is making connections. So research your interviewers so you can tailor your responses to them when they're asking you questions. And then focus on your personality. You want to choose a residency that fits your personality. So, make sure that's important to you as well. And then discuss experiences, in terms of the set you apart. And what Dr. Mishra was saying, always read the website, first know what they offer, and then kind of, go on and say, I know you offer this, this, and this. Can you kind of elaborate on something more? So read a little bit, but you can always ask more. And the next thing is always take notes. And then the last thing is asking questions. So we can go to the next slide. So for this, you can take a look at all these questions over here, but in terms of the questions, make them open-ended, and then ask things that are not on the website, because we always have people that kind of ask what's on the website. It's on the website, so it's, we think, did they read the website? Did they even go through it? Are they just asking to ask? So, ask questions. And then in terms of how to ask questions, in terms of who to ask to,
All right.
resident, certain questions I asked during my interview were to residents, faculty, and the program director. So in terms of the residents, ask about the strengths and weaknesses that they have, and then say, what do residents do for fun at the program, and what are the plans that they have after graduation for the ones that are graduating. For the faculty, ask, in terms of how much feedback you guys provide, and why did they choose to go to that program. And then for the program director, you can ask, in 5 years, how do you see the residency in the future? And then what, if you have any challenges, how do you deal with them in the residency? And then next slide.
All right, tip 5 is how to wind down an interview. But first, let me just say something. I am using the blurred background. That is definitely an option that you could pursue. I will say sometimes as a interviewer, I like looking at the background of folks. One of our residents right now, Justin, who's a fascinating person, he had a big J in his background from the apartment he was living in at the time. And he had some interesting art prints. I think he had some basketball and stuff there. it formed like a nidus of conversation between us and whatnot. And so honestly, sometimes I like seeing the background. So think about it. But anyways, tips for winding down an interview. You know what you need in a residency program. And in many ways, residency is kind of the end of a long journey of medical training. I'm going through college, medical school, and then this is the final piece of all that. Truly, it's just the beginning of practicing medicine, but still, you're reaching the end, and you got to know what you want in that end. You have to know what are you looking for in a program, what attributes are you looking for. Really, a lot of residencies are the curriculum's the same no matter where you end up. So a lot of what residencies are, the differences are the vibe. What kind of sense do you get from the people at a residency? What kind of sense do you get from the institution? So try to pick up on that. That's honestly what we're trying to pick up on a lot of too, is how does this person seem? Is this someone that we want to be awake with at 3 a.m.? Resist the urge to tell the same story. We do definitely get interviewees who might say the same anecdote to multiple of us, and we compare notes and we're like, oh yeah, we heard that. It is, however, a good opportunity to explain maybe things that have happened. Some people have had adversity in their life. Some people have had maybe troubles in their academic performance or the academic lives. And this is actually, the interview is a good place to explain and say what happened, be honest, be truthful, be transparent. All of us in primary care have pretty good BS detectors, so you don't want to try to test that. But it's a good opportunity to explain, yeah, this happened, and this is what I did to do better, and this is what I want to do going forward. And sometimes a lot of that is really good to hear. And also say thank you. A lot of resources go into interviewing. Certainly a lot of resources go into it from your end, but so do same thing from the programs though. We dedicate hundreds of man hours each year to interviewing. And so saying thank you at the end is always a good way to wrap up. Along the same line, make sure you ask good questions. As everyone has said, do some research beforehand about the program, about the community, read some biographical information about the faculty if it's out there. I try to hide my biographical information. I value my privacy. No, and I forget what's on mine. I think I used to be on the Navajo reservation. That's on my bio. So you could ask me, I saw that you're in Arizona. Tell me how you ended up out there. Tell me what that was like. And I could go on forever about that. But, learn who you're talking to. And that's a good way to ask questions. It's a good way to get a sense for how someone is, who someone is. Read important cues. Everyone sometimes has some cues about maybe they're getting a little bored, maybe you're losing their attention. I'll show you what one of my cues is if you see me doing this, I'm getting impatient. That's a cue a lot of folks in our IT department recognize from me. So just be open to cues and adjust accordingly if needed. The AAFP has a resource about residency interview questions that maybe you could just have as a in your back pocket if you sense that maybe who you're talking to is getting a little bored and you need to ask some more questions to keep their attention. And then finally, just there's that guy. He's had enough. One other thing to keep in mind is that the AAMC has really pushed residency programs to go towards something called behavior-based interviewing, and that is a process where programs might pick several characteristics, several behaviors that they value. Sometimes you can predict what these are, reading a program's mission statement, reading their vision statement, reading their values. And a lot of the interview might have focus on those areas. I know at our institution, we have 4 to 5 of those areas, and we divvy them up with each interviewer, and each interviewer kind of focuses on one of those. So you might get a little bit of a sneak peek into what those are by looking at the mission statement and vision and values for each program.
All right, and tip number 6 for after the interview process. So now you've aced your virtual or your in-person interview, but there's still a lot left to think about. Sending a thank you note may be something that you think about doing, whether that's written or an email. This is definitely something I would recommend doing, though it's not required. It is a nice gesture. Oftentimes you will send this to the program coordinator or whoever has been communicating with you about the interview process. It is okay to also add additional people onto your thank you note if there was someone you really connected with during the interview day and you want to thank them specifically. So that is okay to do. Try to do this within a week of interviewing, just in a timely fashion. Additionally, keeping notes to reference later. This was something that was incredibly helpful for me in my own interview process. As Dr. Ditto was mentioning, a lot of the curriculums will start to sound the same after so many interviews. And it is more of those intangible things that end up being more important. So judging, the vibe or how you felt on a specific interview. I would recommend, and what I did during my interviews was taking a couple minutes after the interview to kind of jot down how I felt during the day, anything that stuck out to me, any positives or negatives that I noticed in myself or in other people. Make some notes about the vibe so that you don't forget later on when you're making your rank list. If you're a pen and paper person, you can keep this in like a journal or on a sheet of paper. If you're an Excel spreadsheet person, do it there. Just develop a system that works well for you so you have something to reference later. Additionally, you may have questions after the interview. That's totally okay. If you would like to reach out with additional questions, you can address these usually to the program coordinator as well, and they can put you in touch with whoever would be best able to answer your question. If you have multiple questions for a specific program, try to compile them and send them all in one email. The interview process is a busy time for both residency programs and students, so we appreciate concise communication. On the same kind of train of emails, try not to read too much into how much communication or how little communication you are getting from different residency programs. Each program has their own protocol for how they approach this. Some may be more communicative, some may be less, and that's okay. Oftentimes you will get a thank you from the program, and sometimes you won't hear anything from them again. And other programs may be reaching out to you more frequently to check in. In terms of after the residency interview process, you will often get invitations to second look programs. These may be in person, some may still be virtual. If you are genuinely interested in a program, I found these really, really helpful to attend. If you can make it work to travel to the in-person second look days, if you had a virtual interview, I found that to be especially beneficial. It can sometimes be a little bit hard to judge the vibe or a location that you're unfamiliar with over a virtual interview. So visiting in person, I found to be very helpful. It is okay to decline these invitations if the travel or the timing of the second look doesn't line up with your schedule, and no one will hold that against you. Some people may choose to communicate with the program that they've interviewed with about their match list or their rank list. This is definitely not necessary to do, although you could if you would like to express interest in a program. If you're going to do so, try not to include the number of where they are on your rank list, and only do this if you are truly genuinely interested in a program and want to convey that interest. And then when it comes time to finalize your rank list, definitely, review all of the notes that you've collected, as everybody's been mentioning, submit your list and take some time to relax, and congratulate yourself on making it through this grueling process. And a couple odds and ends here. Throughout the interview season, programs will often have many recruitment events. These may be a combination, again, of in-person or virtual events. They may range from things like meet and greets to virtual didactics to the second looks we've already talked about. If you choose to participate in these events, which I would encourage you to do because they're another touch point and another way to kind of assess the vibe of the program, treat them professionally, treat them as if they are an interview, because the program is definitely treating them like an interview and paying attention to how you're interacting with the people on these events. So be careful about being too informal. Not talking is okay if you're on a meet and greet. I know some of these can be, really heavily attended, and it's hard within the time constraints to actually speak. So no one will dock you for not speaking. They'll make sure that you look engaged, try not to look bored. That nonverbal communication is really important. So smile, nod, all of the other things to show that you're paying attention. It is okay to leave these virtual events early if you need to for a clinical or a personal commitment. It is polite to, if you can, unmute and verbally state that you're leaving and thank the people for their time. If that's not reasonable, send a message in the chat just saying, thank you so much, I have to sneak out early. It's okay to throw your contact information in the chat as well. Oftentimes the residents or faculty, whoever's running these programs, will put their contact information in the chat as well. And it's helpful to note those people's emails or phone numbers to contact them later should questions arise. And the final thing here is just a plug to remember to review your social media content. So things like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever social media platforms you have, make sure that these are privated, or if they are public, make sure that you are presenting yourself in a professional manner. These things are Googleable and programs can look them up. So just another plug to remember to be aware of your online footprint. And that wraps up our presentation. We hope you all found this helpful. Thank you guys so much for your time and for attending. And we'd like to open the floor for questions now.
Hello, my name is Mina Alzamani. I'm a medical student from American University of the Caribbean. And thank you guys so much for this wonderful presentation. I'm personally really interested in Maryland just because my family is up in near Virginia. So that was a great tip. I did have a question regarding step 2. So would you guys interview can I submit my application for ERAS prior to taking step 2?
Yeah, we definitely will take a look at applications before step 2 is done. If step 2 is not done, we might wait a little bit longer to offer an interview, and we definitely will not put anyone on a rank list without it. So keep that in mind, and it would be something that I would probably bring up during the interview process, what your plan was there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew. I appreciate it.
If you want to ask a question, please just go ahead and unmute yourself. I see, Dukunul, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you very much for this program. It's really enlightening. I'm Adekunle Lawal. I am an IMG and I'm presently in Pennsylvania. I just want to ask a couple of questions, I'll say. One is, does your program consider an IMG? And secondly, is there a cutoff for year of graduation for the program, for your program?
Dipti, are you still there?
She's not there.
Oh man. I would say that we consider it, but it definitely goes into the weighting of where folks end up in as far as offering interviews and as far as a rank list.
I believe our policy is that you need to have graduated within the last 3 years. If Dr. Mystery were here, she would be able to confirm that. But I think that's our policy currently.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alexandria Sarkar. I graduated from the University of Miami with an MD and PhD degree. And just on the topic of interview tips and tricks, I was wondering if it would be important to kind of highlight my MPH degree and if I should just keep focusing on that during the interview, just here and there, or just any tips about that.
I'll say, I feel like I'm saying everything. Yeah, I would. One of my regrets, if I were to go back and do everything again, I would do an MPH. So, I think that's a thing where I would follow the lead of the questions and where something goes. And if someone is just purely just asking you about, adversity you faced, if it seems to make sense to talk about some, challenge you had in your MPH program, then maybe bring it up. But maybe then it doesn't come up. If I saw that, I would be interested in what your background is. Honestly, I'm an amateur clinical epi nerd, and so I'd probably ask about that. I'd ride where the interview kind of goes. But I mean, it's definitely a thing that would catch my attention, and as an interviewer, I would ask about, and I would definitely. It seems to me, just from you saying that, I imagine you're probably pretty proud of your degree and your work there, and I would definitely mention that.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree with Dr. Ditto. If in case you have another degree, definitely should be worth coming up in an interview, especially if it's asked about. And when it's an MBA, MPH, Masters of Science, veterinary degree, you're a nurse before, you're a lawyer in the past, whatever the case may be, it's a point of conversation. It's something different you're bringing, it's a different view that you come with too. So I think it's worth talking about.
I have one more question, sorry.
Oh.
I saw on your website, I believe you guys begin offering interviews in October. So do you kind of fill up your interview schedule in October? So kind of as soon as people submit their application to you, late September, it's kind of, that's it, you're gonna go with that pool.
No, we don't. That's just when it opens up. And we interview, I think, all the way into, I think January did last year. We had late interviews up to that point. So that's just when things open up and we could start reviewing applications and getting interviews scheduled. But that is not that's just the beginning of it. It's the whole season interviews go through.
It's a rolling process.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, you ruined my timing. I was going to say something like, "Oh, I don't know about a second question, Alexandria," but then you ruined my timing by jumping in.
Hey,
If I may ask a question, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
I already asked a question, Jarrett. You can go ahead.
Okay. So I was looking on y'all's website. I'm Jarrett. I'm a fourth-year medical student from North Carolina. And I saw that y'all integrate point-of-care ultrasound into some of your training. And I was just kind of curious how that relates to ultrasound with procedures like knee injections, elbow injections, things like that. And also just how well prepared your residents felt for, kind of the standard outpatient procedures of family medicine after they graduate.
I'll speak a little bit about the point of care and some of the things you mentioned in the injections part, but there's more procedures outside of that, right? So we do point of care. We're actually doing the point of care ultrasound lecture tomorrow in our didactics. There's three of us, myself, Dr. Deaton, and Dr. Harrington. And we do it as a continuous process. It's a sequence of lectures throughout the year. We do include point of care ultrasound in inpatient and outpatient medicine. I do sports medicine, so I do musculoskeletal ultrasound. So that's kind of included in my regular clinic, not necessarily procedure clinic, because it's just done sometimes. As is, knee injections, all residents get hands-on when they're doing sports medicine, musculoskeletal medicine, with orthopedics and with myself, because I'm faculty also. Oh, I am faculty, so. a few of them could attest to this who are actually on the call right now, how many they have done in 1 month of it. So you get enough exposure. There are more procedures besides that, but I can have Dr. Ditto even mention some of those too with procedure clinic that we run.
Yeah, so I can kind of go over in terms of procedures. So as a third year, I've done a lot of procedures, especially in our procedure clinic. So we do anything from cyst removal, removal of lipomas, shave biopsies, punch biopsies, knee injections. And Dr. Sani teaches us that aspect of it. I haven't done it personally, but we have residents do Nexplanon removals, IUD insertion. So you get a lot of hands-on experiences and in terms of a lot of suturing and things like that. So no, the procedure clinic is really good. And the good part is, in terms of faculty, you can kind of get anyone to kind of help you, whoever's in the clinic, and they, it's set up really well, and you get a good experience with it.
Hey, Jarrett, you're indirectly bringing up a good point, which is, what do you got going on behind you there? What is that? It looks like fantasy. What is that?
So this is actually my wife's bookshelf. My bookshelf is above my desk, so you can't see it, but we're both pretty big Harry Potter fans.
Okay.
She's got Hunger Games back there.
Okay.
Divergent, Allegiant. I don't know if any of y'all.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the movies. Okay.
She's got the collection.
All right. You got a guitar. Where are you in North Carolina?
Greenville. I'm at the Brody School.
Oh, Brody. I saw someone from Brody. Cool.
Yeah. But thank y'all for answering my questions. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Mina had a question.
Yes, so I actually had a question more generally about how interviewing. We always get asked a question, what is your weakness? And I've done a lot of research on like how to answer that, but what do you guys recommend, like as a future physician, we should answer? Like, what are you looking for as a program director? What are you trying to get to know about me when you ask me that? And what's a good answer example?
I think that one's Dr. Ditto first.
Oh, really? I was about ready to say that's you. I mean, honesty. Honesty is what I'm looking for. It's not a gotcha question. It's not a trick question. It's an honest answer. What I would say, I'll be honest with you. So I graduated med school 15 years ago. I don't know what I would have said 15 years ago. It's difficult to put myself back in that headspace. What I would say now would be that I do struggle with attention to detail, and I have kind of made structures in my life to compensate for that, to force myself to pay detail. And I'd kind of say, maybe what kind of adversity or learning experience I've learned from that weakness, and what I've done to try to correct it, and how I think it's affecting me now. That's how I would approach that. But it's absolutely not I wouldn't think of it as a gotcha question. I think of it as an authenticity question.
Thank you. That actually really helps. I appreciate it.
Any other questions for the Meritus folks about either interviewing or about the Meritus program itself? If not, any final comments from the Meritus team before we wrap up for the night?
Thank you, guys. I wish you guys all a bunch of luck. This is really stressful. I mean, when I did it, there was no Zoom. So, I mean, I drove to a bunch of programs, and now you guys do these interviews at probably like dozens more than I ever did. It's super stressful. So hats off to you for doing it, and best of luck to you.